Hello, Spartan fans. Welcome into center court. As always, head coach Eddie Payne is alongside. And coach, this past week, a little bit of a mixed bag. You shocked some people maybe in the way you pulled away from North Florida, handing them only their second conference loss. And then Jacksonville returned the favor coming in here on Saturday. As you look back at this past week, put it in perspective in light of where you are in your season.
Well, I don't know. Perspective is hard to get when you have two opposite type of games within a span of 48 hours. And, you know, we went from a terrific win and really good basketball for 40 minutes, and then we played about 29 good minutes with up 11, or up 9, and then had a really horrendous finish to that game. So that was a disappointing, and it's something that hadn't happened to us this year, and it's also the last thing that happened. So that's what I remember the most. North Florida's kind of a distant memory, but you know, we're hoping, and it's an anomaly because we've held teams below 60 points, I think, 14 times. Well, Jacksonville scored 57 in the second half, 41 in the last 11 minutes. So, you know, it was a real strange thing, strange feeling, and the players were certainly affected by it. So we got to put it behind us and move on and get ready for the next challenge, which is down in Florida.
As you'll see from the highlights, the Dolphins shot over 60% from the field in the second half. And you'll also see in the North Florida game, Upstate pulling away in half number 2 as they were really able to put another statement win on their resume. Let's take a look back at both those contests. The Upstate Spartans take down the North Florida Ospreys for the second time this season and the second time in as many weeks, as they went on the road at North Florida and then return home, reach the 80-point threshold for an 80-63 victory. Phil, a game that was tied at halftime would never have led us to dream that we would be sitting here with a 17-point victory either way, but the Spartans really took this game over in the second half, as you'll see in our highlights.
Well, we had a great first half of action between these two. Shunquest Stevens, what a great game. 14 points for the junior from Flowery Branch, Georgia. And really just a shutdown performance by the Spartans in the second half. Stevens,
you see what he did defensively there as well. Came up with 10 rebounds, and it's a double-double for Shunquest Stevens. You're going to see a lot of number 5, as you always do. He led the way with 25 for the Spartans.
Coming up with some big baskets in the second half to give Upstate some distance, create some space. You see Cuthbertson, very confident player, able to knock down some jump shots. Upstate, probably the only thing they didn't do well in the first half was allowing North Florida with a lot of easy baskets inside. They cut down on that in the second half as they scored points a lot of different ways tonight.
Ty Green, we talked about his 25 points. He's making a very strong bid to become the Atlantic Sun Conference Player of the Year. We'll get to his numbers in just a moment. But you look at so many different contributors. The Spartans end up putting 3 in double figures, but they have 3 other players in Buchanan, Cuthbertson, and Schulte, who you're seeing a whole lot of. They all end up with 9 points, right on the verge of double figures themselves.
When you have balance like that on the inside and on the outside, you see Buchanan put it back, you're going to give yourself a great chance to win. Upstate not only scored in the half-court game, they were able to get some transition baskets. Their defense created some buckets for them. So when you do all those things and as many variables, as many factors as that, you're going to have a great chance to win, and they beat a really, really good basketball team pretty soundly.
From without and within, as you can see from those highlights, and you talk about individual performers, we'll look at Ty Green's numbers here. Phil, your thoughts on a guy who, as we said, is making a very strong bid to put his name in the history books, not only here in this campus, but also in the Atlantic Sun Conference.
Well, you see the 25 points by Green, the 7 rebounds. So often it's his steal numbers that we end up looking at, but he is a part of a huge glass performance for Upstate with 7 boards. Then you see Stevens, probably his best game of the year in a big-time game. What a line. 14 points, 4 assists, 10 rebounds, 6 of 9 from the field. He's got a lot of potential and played extremely well this evening.
Double-double for the young player out of the state of Georgia. Here's a look at the overall numbers for the basketball team. Anytime you shoot 50% from the floor, it's going to be a pretty good night for you.
Absolutely. And then you look at the turnover numbers for both teams. Just 13 total combined turnovers tonight. Very, very good. And then the rebounding. Coach Payne has talked so much about getting bodies on people in the lane and fighting for rebounds. When you're plus 13 in the rebounding category against anybody, you'll take it. And that can oftentimes tell you a lot of the story and why Upstate had dropped 80 on UNF tonight.
The Atlantic Sun Conference standings look a bit different than they did coming in. A little more of a tight bunch at the top. You've got Florida Gulf Coast, who are hanging on to that 7-1 mark, though they run a dogfight with Northern Kentucky tonight. North Florida now with the second loss. Both of those losses handed to them by USC Upstate, who's now just one off of North Florida's pace and still very much in the hunt for multiple home games in the conference tournament.
Of course, the top 4 all get home games, so Upstate looking in good position at this point to get a home game in the Atlantic Sun tournament. But it's the Atlantic Sun, as we said. Things aren't easy. Upstate still with a lot to do as we come down the stretch, second half of the conference season.
All right, Coach, so taking those 2 games one at a time, the North Florida game, a game you knew was going to be very big when it comes to standings and implications. What were your thoughts when that one was over?
Well, I thought we defended them well, particularly in the second half. We were able to corral rebounds. We had a plus 13 on the glass. Our defense fed our offense. We got out in transition. The ball moved. We played really well in the latter part of the second half, and pretty much the entire second half. And defense, I think, started it. Now, North Florida's a real challenge because they stretch you out. They have 5 shooters shooting 40% or better from the arc. So you have to really get out and guard them on the perimeter, and we did a good job of that. And we actually played our matchup a little differently against them, and then that perhaps explained why some of the problems we had against Jacksonville, because they're 2 different types of teams. So, but in the North Florida game, I thought the execution, the energy, the intensity, the want-to factor was there in spades, and we had a terrific win in that game.
Ty Green has 20-plus point performances in both games this week once again. And Josh Cuthbertson really continued to elevate his game, especially in the North Florida contest. He's really coming into his own, and he's a player that you guys have said you feel like has a very high ceiling.
Yeah, he's given us really good energy off the bench. And then, I think in the Jacksonville game, Marvin Smith also fit into that category. So Josh is making shots. He's getting on the offensive glass, like I say, making energy plays and giving our team a boost, and that's been an important aspect in what was a 6-game winning streak. He had lifted his game, and he did it again, like I said, in Jacksonville, even though we didn't win. So he's really coming along after a really good start to the year, and then he went into a little bit of a 6-7 game swoon, and now he seems to be out of that, and he's playing well.
When you have a 6-game winning streak, which is a very solid run for your team, snap the way you did on Saturday, and you have some big games coming up that force you to quickly turn the page, what's the communication like to your team with where you are right now?
Well, most of the time what happens when you get slapped down a little bit is you get back to the basic fundamental stuff. You got to remind and train your team about the things that really matter. And you have to do it regardless of the schedule. I mean, when you're playing Thursday, Saturday, usually Friday, you can't do a great deal of stuff because, you know, particularly with us, we're playing Ty and Fred and these guys 9 minutes. So we have to give them a little bit of a rest, but we've got to really get back to the basics, which is something that people hear in all phases of life. Get back to the basics, and that's basically what you got to do.
Let's check in with Jacob Schulte. He's another of the emerging players on this basketball roster, and he took a moment to sit down with some of our crew.
Hey, I'm Jake Schulte, number 33 for the basketball team. Being from Kentucky, growing up, I always played basketball, but also I played different sports like baseball and soccer. Kentucky, Indiana, and North Carolina are 3 of the best basketball states around. But I'm going to have to go with Kentucky being the best basketball state because where I was born and raised, and just the fan base there is just out of the world. Growing up in an athletic family, it was difficult at times, but it was also really fun. Like everything we did was always based on competition, no matter what we were doing, like with family or just playing like outside in the yard. Winning a state championship in high school was probably one of the best times of my life. One, for it was because my coach, he'd never been to a state championship before, and also for like doing it for the seniors that year. We were all very close, and just winning it, I guess, just sealed the deal for the season. If I could have a superpower, I'd want to be able to run really fast, like Flash, just running around the world. I think it'd be really cool. My dream vacation is to go to Bora Bora and stay in one of those little tiki huts that are out on the water.
And we certainly want to thank Jacob Schulte for taking time to visit with us and give us further insight into his off-the-court activities. We'll continue with more Center Court on the other side of the break.
For 35 years, the Atlantic Sun Conference has supported its member institutions in their commitment to the hard work, dedication, and determination of building winners for life. As the ASUN aggressively seeks to expand opportunities, its student athletes and the institutions they represent stand among the nation's best in academics, athletics, and service to their communities. At the ASUN, the aim is the successful balance of student and athlete. The Atlantic Sun Conference, at its best, building winners for life.
Welcome back to Center Court. We're joined by head women's basketball coach Tammy George. Thanks as always for visiting with us, Coach.
Good to be here.
Very big week for you in the standings. You make some major headway with back-to-back road wins. Walk us through what it was like on the way back home after such a successful trip.
It was exciting to be on the bus. A lot of excitement. We actually watched the NBA All-Star on the way back Saturday. We watched the dunking contest. We watched the three-point shootout, and the bus was live. It was a really good weekend for us for a number of reasons, obviously in the standings, and then also we got some road wins. So the kids were very excited about that.
You pulled away a bit against North Florida, 59-50 the final there, but it's a one-possession victory of the 60-58 variety against Jacksonville. You did it a couple of different ways, but there were some common themes in those games. What did you feel like you did best in those two Florida-based games?
I think the biggest thing is we got off to a good start. Obviously, against North Florida, we came out, hit some big shots, hit some threes, got up early, got up 16-7, and then they obviously made their way back, but we held on. But I think it was good to get off to a good start. Same thing at Jacksonville. We came out, struggled a little bit the first couple of minutes, but then went on a run to finish the half, and it was just really good to get off to a good start. I think our kids do much better when we do that.
You felt like another consistent theme in those two games really has been a consistent theme all year. When your team has done well, both Charmaine Edwards and Brittany Starling have done very well.
Yeah, they've just been, the catalyst for us all year long. Obviously, we get them touches. We try to get them touches. We want them shooting the basketball. We do have other people that can step up, but they do get a lot of touches. Charmaine, she's a gun ready to fire. She's very offensive minded and did a really good job for us this weekend. Same thing, Brittany, same thing, double doubles. She's just being on the floor, and her presence has definitely been a big thing for us this weekend.
What kind of energy does it give your team now coming home, where you've been very successful after back-to-back victories?
Yeah, we feel pretty good. I mean, I know we got the two best teams in the conference coming in, but again, we're at home, got a little confidence, got some road wins, and got our confidence, and we're back home in a familiar place where we've played very well this year. So we're excited. There's nothing to lose. All the pressure's on them, so we're excited about that.
No, from a coaching standpoint, you like to take it one game at a time, not really worry about the big picture and let it take care of itself. But you know that your student athletes are aware of where you are in the standings, and with the two teams right in front of you on the plate for this week here at home, how much more of a lift does that give your team, and how much of a spring is there in their step now going into Thursday and Saturday here in the Hodge Center?
I think it's going to be, again, I think it's a big game for us, and I think our kids, again, coming off those two big wins, they were big wins for us, and obviously on the road, but big wins for us, and they know the importance of these last 4 games for us as we look ahead. But again, it's one game at a time, and we'll worry about Stetson. But I think there's going to be a big spring in their step. I think we're going to come out, and hopefully we'll get off to a good start and be ready to play.
The fans are obviously re-energized based upon your success and really the position you put them in to come and witness a couple of very important games this week. Break them down one at a time for us. How do you see the Stetson game breaking down, first of all, on Thursday?
Well, Stetson's a very good basketball team. They score a lot of points. I think their last game they put up 103. One of their last 2 games they put up 103. And I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's a good feeling being at home. We've shot better at home, scored. We can put up a lot of points here. And I think that's what we're going to have to do, is score a lot of points. They can come at you in a number of ways in transition. They got kids that can shoot the 3. They got the inside presence of the 6'4" kid, Amber Porter, and they're a very good basketball team. And again, they can put up a lot of points. So we're going to have to put up a lot of points to stay with them.
Everybody is always continuing to have problems with Florida Gulf Coast also. Break them down.
I mean, it's hard to say here that they have any weaknesses. I'm sure if you ask Carl, he would probably say they do, but they're a very good basketball team, very disciplined, share the basketball. It will be tough, but again, we just got to come out ready to play. And who knows what can happen Thursday night if we get some momentum going into that game. So we'll just wait and see. But
you've talked to us about taking an area and getting better each week, despite the 2 victories that we're talking so much about and smiling so big about on this particular day. What are the areas that you're focused on trying to improve on Thursday and Saturday?
I think the biggest thing is, again, just, we got to get better on the defensive end, continue to fight on the defensive end and battle. Again, we're playing against 2 very good basketball teams that can put a lot of points up. So we got to be ready on the defensive end, and our focus this next couple of days will be on the defensive end and trying to get some stops.
Well, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that end of the floor and everything that takes place here in the Hodge Center this coming week. Congratulations on a solid week, Coach, and all the best in the games ahead.
Thank you.
The Spartans right in the thick of the Atlantic Sun Conference race. You'll want to pack the Hodge. Make sure you are aware of what's going on. Can't be here, keep up with it at upstatespartans.com. We'll continue with more Center Court right after the break.
People know you and they get to know you on a personal level and they know your abilities.
And this is really a place where I have seen, and I mean this is a place where I've seen students come here and really try to figure out who it is that they are.
Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And I think every college kid goes through that. But being here at Upstate and being a part of so many different programs, I know what my purpose is. And I can say that with confidence.
You don't get lost in the crowd at Upstate.
USC Upstate is a place where people can discover themselves.
And welcome back to Center Court. We push forward with Coach Payne's Inside the Game segment. And Coach, there's been so much talk about Ty Green, his ability to score. We talk about his defense, certainly one of the steals leader in the Atlantic Sun Conference. But some of the things he does that's not necessarily a scoring play grabs your attention as well. There was a play in the North Florida game when they were making a run at you guys in the second half where he found his defender off balance, and though he wasn't in the act of shooting, begins to lunge toward the basket, gets himself to the free throw line for 3 at the charity stripe. And it's one of those heads-up plays that he so often makes where he shows what a cerebral player he is. Walk us through a play like that and Ty Green as a player who can continually make plays that just make you sit back and go, here's a smart basketball player.
Well, those types of plays are the result of him being a very productive and prolific scorer. I mean, people put so much attention on him face guarding him and things like that, and they react to him. And he's gotten better at using ball fakes and shot fakes, because I know they've been told, you know, you got to stay tight on, don't let him get a shot off. And when he does it, everything that he does is preceded by a great deal of movement. And when you move a defender and then show them the ball, they bite a lot. And he's gotten really good at that, and that's exactly what happened in this particular play. And you know, I like our chances of getting 3 points if he's shooting three free throws. So he has developed that. He's had it before, but he's really made it work for him even better this year as a senior.
Coach Payne giving you a sense inside the game of what makes Ty Green so difficult to guard out on the perimeter. Coach, how about the health of your team on our Spartanburg Regional Sports Medicine injury report? Anybody banged up right now as you get ready to head back out on the road?
Nothing beyond the normal, knock on wood. I think we're pretty healthy, but you know, I always know that anything can happen anytime. I mean, last year, late in the season, Ty ended up hurting his hand in practice, so you know, we'll keep our fingers crossed about that, but right now we're healthy.
Turning our attention to this week's special feature, you're going to be pleased to find that there's a lot of talent on the Upstate campus. Alex Love will work his way around campus, asking if you're on American Idol or The Voice, what would be your song of choice? Take it away, Alex.
I'm Alex Love reporting for Center Court, and I'm here with my good friend and teammate on the track team, Kyle. Kyle, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. So American Idol's back on TV, and the show can get pretty big. If you had your opportunity to try out on American Idol, what song would you choose?
I would pick Roar by Katy Perry because I can give my own little performance like she did at the Super Bowl.
If I had my chance, I would probably choose 18 by Ed Sheeran.
You think you could give us a little demonstration of that?
Well, it won't be worth American Idol, but I can try. She's in the class 18. Stuck in her daydream.
If you had your chance to go out there and try out, what would be the song you'd choose?
Probably You Are Not Alone by Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. You think you want to give a little impression?
Nah, singing ain't really my thing. Nah, I'm good.
Probably a country song, something like Carrie Underwood or Kelly Pickler, just because that's what I was raised listening to a lot of, and that's why I used to sing in the car, shower, other places. People can't see me.
We're here in the dining hall, and I'm here with some good athletes here at Upstate Soccer, and we have one tennis player. Guys, how are you guys today? Good. Good. So American Idol is something big here on TV, and we want to ask everybody here on campus, if you had your chance to be on American Idol, what would be a song you guys would want to sing?
The German national anthem. The German national anthem.
The German national anthem. Would you guys like to give a demonstration?
Sure, yeah.
By all means.
3, 2, 1. Einigkeit und Recht und Freiheit für das deutsche Vaterland. Danach lasst uns alle streben, brüderlich mit Herz und Hand.
American Idol doesn't mean you can't have love for all the rest of the world. I'm Alex Love, and you're watching Center Court.
Thanks, Alex. And now, Coach, we do turn our attention to the week ahead. It's another important trip through the Sunshine State for you. It begins with Stetson. We'll talk about the big game against Florida Gulf Coast in just a moment. But how about the Hatters and what they present as you get ready to take them on Thursday?
Well, you know, they are a team that's been up and down, and they've also a team, like most teams, that is much better at home. And so, you know, just like always, as we evidenced by what happened last weekend, you know, you have to be ready to play every game, every night. You have to have an edge. You have to have what I call a competitive edge. And if we don't have that, you know, Stetson will beat us. So, you know, we have to be prepared for that. And, of course, when you go to North Florida Gulf Coast, they're number one in the leagues right now, so you know what you're going to get there. So we just, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to try to get back to the basics and make sure we're getting things done that we do and not worry so much about Stetson trying to get ourselves back after a tough second half. So, you know, we're looking forward to it. I figure that bad performance puts us in a position to accomplish something really good, you know. And when you get knocked down, you got to get back up. So we're going to do our best to get us back up and get ready to play Stetson on Thursday.
And then the game on Saturday, you mentioned it, the team everybody's chasing, and a team you have played very close games with across the last several. Florida Gulf Coast, what's your approach going on the road into a difficult place to play come Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we've had 3 one-possession games in a row with these guys, but we've lost all 3 of them. So, you know, our approach is pretty much just to, I don't think you'll see any gimmicks or anything dramatically different from us or them, for that matter. Why would they change? They're 9-1 or something like that. So, you know, it's just about execution and playing hard and playing together and, you know, making a few shots, getting some stops, getting a rebound. Rebounding would probably be the biggest thing. That's how they beat us here. They converted 18 second chance points against us here. So we've got to do a better job on that on the defensive glass.
A lot of eyes on this Upstate basketball team in a very important week as we come down the stretch in conference play, and you can keep up with everything that happens to Coach Payne's team at UpstateSpartans.com. Thanks as always for your time, Coach. All the best on the road.
Thank you.
And now we're set to tally your votes for our social media play of the week. Shelby Hicks continues to survive with her game-winning buzzer beater from just a couple of weeks ago. And today her challenger is going to be a defensive play on the men's side. Watch as several contributors make sure Upstate maintains possession of the basketball. You can vote to @UpstateSpartans by using the hashtag #CCTopPlay, and the top vote getter advances as our champion for next week. So that brings to a close this edition of Center Court. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and look forward to having you back with us next Wednesday night at 6 p.m. as we bring you more inside content on the Upstate basketball program.